How's it going, everybody? This is RBT, and I know I've been doing a lot of recap videos and prediction videos lately, but this is a video I've been thinking about doing. And with the news of today that was announced that Boise State will not join the Big East Conference and will stay in the Mountain West Conference, I decided to make a video just purely on my thoughts and my opinion on something, and to stay away from prediction and recap for a second and just go on a limb here and just talk about something. And with this news of Boise State staying in the Mountain West Conference, the Big East Conference is absolutely completely done. I feel sorry for the guy who took over as the what do they call it, the commissioner of the Big East Conference, and it's just done. I mean, Boise State was the key piece in keeping that conference, whatever was left of the conference, together. They were finally set on two-division format where they could actually play a conference championship game, which would really help the prestige of that conference. But you can only do that with 12 teams. You can't do that with 11 teams. And there's no other way. There's only 11 teams now, and San Diego State has a clause in their contract where if Boise State stays in the Mountain West and doesn't join the Big East, that they can stay as well without paying an exit fee if no other schools are added to the Big East that are in the Rocky Mountain region. And no other school is going to want to leave for the Big East of what is left of the Big East with what is going on and everybody leaving. 11 schools have left in the last 2 years. It's just, they're done. I mean, even Navy's now reconsidering joining the Big East. So that would put them down to 9 schools, and who else knows what other schools would be departing for the Big East. I mean, the Big East actually, I've been a fan of the Big East. As bad they've been in football, it's always cool to have that one underdog conference that always has a school that everybody's down on and makes a BCS bowl and actually has a chance to play against the big boys. And I'm a fan of that. But now that's not going to be anymore because of Boise State deciding to stay in the Mountain West, which is so stupid, man. Boise State actually had a chance to go out on a limb, go to a different conference, and show the world they're actually better. They're a good team against better opponents. Yeah, the Big East isn't the best opponents, but they're better than the Mountain West opponents. The Big East has quality opponents that Boise State could play year in and year out and actually have a chance to go to the national championship game because they actually play better opponents than they would in the Mountain West. And that makes no sense to me why they stayed in the Mountain West for that reason alone. They said they want to stay on and enforce the Bronco brand in the Mountain West. I mean, what other better way of exposing the Bronco brand than actually having a chance to go to the national championship? Because the Big East provides that. The Mountain West does. As bad as the Big East is, if you're Boise State and you keep playing the 1 or 2 out of conference opponent games a year against decent teams, FBS teams, and you go undefeated in the Mountain West, the Big East will have a chance to go to that Final Four and go on in the playoffs and actually have a chance to play for the national championship. Rather than staying in the Mountain West Conference, that gives you nothing at all playing against teams like Air Force, Hawaii, Nevada. There's no national brand whatsoever in that conference other than Boise State. And they could only expose and strengthen that national brand if they'd have joined a conference like the Big East. And with them staying, the Big East is done, and their only hopes of staying together was, like I said, Boise State joining and actually having a two-division format, which actually gave a conference championship game, which gave a little bit more, a little bit more strength of schedule or whatever you want to call it for that conference champion, because they actually had to go through a conference championship game. And now that's done. The Big East is done. Navy's probably going to stay put as an independent, which means Army won't join, which they were supposed to in 2015. San Diego State will probably end up not joining. And no other school will be able to join the conference within a year of leaving their conference to make that a 12-team conference for next year, because that's not possible. They can't join 1 year and be in it the next. I mean, like Boise State, San Diego State, this is all decided last year. It's 2 years in advance. You can't do that for 1 year. And it's just, I feel sorry for the Big East teams for, like, what does Cincinnati, South Florida, whatever, what do those schools do? Because I mean, they're still good schools, but they don't have they can't control their own destiny like the other schools that got lucky and left. I mean, who would expect Rutgers out of nowhere to go to the Big Ten? Who would expect a team like Georgia Tech, and this has nothing to do with it, they go to the Big Ten. I mean, it's all based out of pure luck, TV marketing, whatnot. Cincinnati already has Ohio State in their own state, so there's no point in adding Cincinnati because it's all about money. That's all it is about money. It's not playing football. It's about money, and it's ridiculous. And that, with it being about money, the schools like Cincinnati and South Florida that are already in markets that don't get a chance to play in a better conference, they're out of luck just because they're regional location, and it's retarded and it's ridiculous. And Boise State just created a domino effect, which is going to absolutely destroy a conference that has already been destroyed. They could have been the centerpiece around it, but they're not anymore. They're going to stick to playing New Mexico State every year. They're probably in the WAC, but you get my point. And this does kind of frustrate me as a college football fan because this is going to make it a lot worse. I loved having that other conference there, but it's no longer there. They just screwed over the Big East big time. Big East will probably end up having 10 teams next year instead of 12, which they thought they were going to have. They will not have a conference championship game more than likely. They are just completely done. It is over with. No more Big East football at a national brand, even though it was already dropping off. I mean, they won't have a TV contract for basketball, football that's anywhere near what it is now in 2 years from now. Because all the Big East basketball schools left because they thought they were focusing on football, which does drive conferences. Football is the moneymaker, and that's what drives conferences. And so they need to stop getting butthurt about that. And then, since they're all about football, they leave, and then Boise State screws them over and stay put. And so the Big East is just completely dismantled and destroyed, and it's going to be tearing apart. Because I have a feeling that Cincinnati, South Florida, Connecticut, whoever's left in there, is going to be trying their best to get out of that conference. Not because of what the conference is, it's because Boise State made them. Because if Boise State stayed in the Big East or joined the Big East like they were supposed to and said they were and committed to, I mean, the Big East would be a decent conference and actually have some prestige left whatsoever. Boise State in the Big East makes the Big East the 5th best conference in America, or better than the Mountain West. The Big East is still better than the Mountain West. And that, I hope that ends up biting Boise State in the butt. I really do. It's not about TV contracts, and it's so stupid. It's about playing gosh dang football, not making this many $1 million with this TV deal. Because that TV deal isn't going to make you a national champion contender. A conference, the conference opponents you play, the teams you play, the way you play, is what makes you a championship contender. Big East gives them a better advantage than the Mountain West, but they stuck with the money. And I hope, with the bottom of my heart, they start falling on their face and start getting beat by Air Force Nevada, and they just disappear completely, because I hope this bites them in the butt big time. So that's been my little rant on Boise State staying in the Mountain West Conference, because that's going to create a domino effect. Boise State's going to stay, San Diego State's going to stay, Navy is going to stay as an independent. And the teams left as a I mean, this just happened last year. TCU was supposed to join the Big East, but just like that, they get invited to the Big 12, and they're gone. The Big East is getting continually screwed over and over again. This all began with West Virginia leaving for the Big 12. Then Rutgers is leaving to the Big 10, and so on and so forth. The teams left. I can't even tell you off the top of my head because it's all changed up. It's San Diego State, Houston. They had to even resort to Memphis to the Big East, and that was completely a basketball move. And that should have shown those teams, that those 8 Catholic schools, that was a basketball move, that they still care about. The biggest part of their conference was their basketball, because Memphis is one of the worst teams in football. They are even worse than some FCS teams in football. They're a good basketball school traditionally, so they added them to the Big East to help out their basketball part of their conference. But that's not there anymore, because they left. And this conference is just tearing apart. And I'm probably so repetitive in this video, but I'm just trying to get my point across, and it's just ridiculous and just so selfish of Boise State to stay in the Mountain West. But I think in the long run, Boise State's going to regret their decision to stay in the Mountain West. But the members are supposed to be San Diego State, Houston, Memphis, SMU, Temple in the West, which was supposed to be along with Boise State in the East, Louisville, Rutgers, Cincinnati, UConn, South Florida, and UCF. And Louisville's going to be gone as well. So, potentially, if San Diego State, Boise State, that takes away 3. This conference, if nobody else leaves, from what I think, the conference is going to be left up of Houston, Memphis, SMU, Temple, Cincinnati, which possibly could leave. So can UConn, South Florida, and Temple, and UCF. So it just really aggravates me that all football is about is money, and it's just ridiculous. And football was so much better 5 years ago in 2007 when you had teams like West Virginia and the Big East playing very well, being a national championship contender. You had South Florida, #2 in the country. You had Boston College, #2 in the country. That's when football was at its peak and at its which gained the most interest from me, and I'm pretty sure much people out there as well, because that is when football is fun. When you spread the wealth across all the country, you don't have so many good schools in one conference, and you have some good that are in some other conferences. It creates underdogs, creates differentials and predictions, creates differences in opinions. It creates a South Florida #2. You would never expect a South Florida to be #2, but it's fun. That's what football is about. It's fun, and it's not about money. It's about fun, but that's just what the world is driven by now, is money, and it's ridiculous. So, simply put, the Big East is done. Expect them to crumble in the next 2-3 years. They will not be a conference anymore, I believe, all because of Boise State. So, yeah, let me know what your opinions on this is in the comment section below. I did kind of go on a rant there, but that's just my thoughts. And I told you this is no recap prediction video, just completely my thoughts and opinions on this subject. So let me know what you think about Boise State staying in the Mountain West. Have a great day, guys, and roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you later.